Welcome back to the channel, Chocolate City Podcast. I'm your host, Masfood Al Kadir. Subject today is unity amongst our brethren out there, amongst the so-called minority in the United States, but we all know worldwide that's not true. People of color, and that is the threat. People of color uh, uniting, coming together for one cause, and that cause uh, being able to just agree, respect each other, uh, look out for each other, mainly just being true to each other. um, Everyone has a competitive nature, survival tactics, trust issues, as everyone has, and that's normal for people you really don't know. But the problem is when things become problematic and we begin to uh, add our little petty beefs into getting things done in the community as a community, like it should be. We should be looking out for the youth. We should be looking out for uh, the elderly, veterans, uh, people who have a mental disability or intellectual disabilities, um, people of special needs, and recognizing that the youth in our communities are our most precious resources. And so we have to protect them. And I got to take these glasses off. We have to protect them. And we have to pretty much invest in our communities, invest in ourselves, invest in each other mostly. And when that happens, that's the biggest threat, as the topic states. You become a threat, you become, or feared, you become a target for the powers to be, naturally, because they don't want uh, the so-called minorities and different communities of ethnic groups uh, to join forces, to be able to have dialogue, to express ourselves in a manner that we can come together as a people. And as you saw through the protests um, during the beginning stages of the pandemic with the George Floyd murder and the protests that proceeded around the world, they were everywhere for social justice change. And gotta put my shades on, it's the lights. And so we saw, and we was able to make hay, and we was able to supposedly get some uh, people in higher business organizations and sports leagues, major league sports leagues, and throughout this country to kind of take a look and listen and give them with that horrific event with the George Floyd uh, murder at the hands of former police officer Derek Chauvin. That opened, I wouldn't say opened the world, because that was just kind of like, uh, it was just so graphic because we saw it before, and we kept seeing it, and we keep seeing it in our communities. But for those 8 minutes and 46 seconds, uh, as graphic and excruciating as it was, I believe it happened for a reason. And I'm not going to say uh, that someone had to be the sacrificial lamb. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, if you believe in, you know, faith or higher power, or something like that, you know, was that a wake up call? Was that a sign of, you people really need to get yourselves together, and this cannot go on. This just cannot go on. It can't continue to have a certain segment of the population to be looked upon as subhuman. And although how you might perceive an individual as a police officer or someone of authority in society, whether you're on the bench as a judge, whether you're a prosecutor, whether you're even a defense attorney, uh, but most of all, um, the police officers that are rogue, that are committing you know, these acts, inhumane acts, among brutalizing black people, minorities, and some people in general, because of the arrogance that they feel that they can do it, because look, I'm the police. You're going to do what I tell you to do. You're not going to give me any type of resistance. And if you do give me resistance, then I'm going to have to do everything I can do to bring you down and even take your life, as you see. But things are changing. I believe the Ahmaud Arbery, Ahmaud Arbery um, sentencing today. I could be wrong, but I did see a brief headline about that. I don't know results as of right now. I haven't checked out any news besides what's going on in Trump world and his continuing investigation. This book about him, that's out there, uh, that's showing him when as you know, yesterday was the anniversary of the insurrection, January 6th, 2021, and that was the anniversary of that yesterday. So there's a lot of repair that needs to be, and a lot of healing yet that still needs to be addressed. And we need to really focus in on, like I said at the beginning, at the top of this video, unity, uh, coming together as a community, uh, trust, uh, and have a dialogue amongst each other in the community. And most of all, look out for each other. Like I said, you have to look out for each other. That's the biggest thing. But the powers of be, once again, the powers of to be, the powers, the unknown shadow government or whatever, uh, well, they don't want that to happen. And they'll do anything to disrupt any type of unity or any type of thing that they feel resistance, threat, or they're going to label you as, or put their own narrative that you're a threat to whatever uh, establishment that they feel, or that they have, as a barrier to their policy. So, once they see a mass of people coming together, and see the power of the people, most importantly, the people who put the politicians in position uh, to govern, and we go out and we vote and we put these people in positions to govern, yet we don't see anything. Uh, the results are slow, and contentions amongst the party contentious, and it just doesn't seem to be any movement. It's just a gridlock that's continue to hamper policy and hamper the American people. So we have to get ourselves together. And so you have this divide and conquer system or playbook that they play all the time, and we fall victim to it every time. We fall into these traps that they lay out of crime, uh, you know, the alcohol consumption in the communities because people are stressed out, and when people have access to these illegal drugs that are being smuggled into the country, and always seems a way to find itself in the minorities communities or neighborhoods of um, lower economic atmosphere, and continue to just cause detrimental harm to the people that's in those communities. So, what are we going to do to combat that? Often it's just too big of a task for people who really want to even accept, fathom. And when you start talking about this stuff, a lot of times you get, unfortunately, in the community, people say, "Man, nobody want to hear about that, man. We trying to have a good time. We trying to party, man. It is what it is. We accept the brutality, so to speak. We accept the abuse. We get used to it, almost like um, an animal or dog, or pet uh, that's being trained, that's being um, trained to do a certain thing, handled a certain way. So we start finding it more acceptable to accept the abuse as opposed to rising up and saying enough is enough. And we demand that you people in Congress, you representatives, start doing your job, or else we're going to vote you out. You're not going to get any more free passes just to be, like I said, sitting in Congress, hognobbing and just saying, "Look at me, I'm a congressman, or I'm a representative, or I'm a senator." And that goes in multi levels in the government. The courts, uh, these committees, the people that are really in the trenches, or who put themselves in position to have hearings about these events that keeps on happening, like police injustice. And so there's a lot of things that the authorities, the people that been voted in, the representatives of Congress, they have a commitment to the people to do their jobs. And I'm not going to shy away from bringing light on that. I'm going to use my voice, my platform, to bring awareness to the situation. And so I don't feel comfortable in a world or in a country that's continue to prop themselves up as being, well, to say that they're all about democracy. And we can see, like I said, as of last year, the events of the storming of the Capitol, they're 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 anything but all about democracy. When you have a presidential election that was you know true, a clear winner, but yet the other side, uh, the MAGA party or the other side, Trump supporters and the people just basically blatant delusional. Well, I wouldn't even say that. I think I might be giving them too credit as being delusional. They're just anti-democracy. I can't call them no more than what it is. They're against democracy. So when you have an opponent against democracy and the Constitution, and you want to write history, or you want to choose what the vote should be, you want to change the results of an election. I mean, it's really just saying that is mind blowing, because this is that was the wildest thing I ever saw. And I don't know, but the main thing is the divide and conquer game plan, and it's always in effect. And we as young, as far as the the young people of America, you have to be careful not to feed into their system, because what you're doing once you get caught up in the system, you you get uh, streamlined or fed into the jail systems, and you know then that's a whole nother different world there once you're in the penitentiary and correction system. So I advise people to kind of wise up, use that energy, that maybe that anger as fuel to research, um, be strategic amongst as far as what you demand and what you like to see change, as far as laws or stuff in your community. You don't have to live in this century to be living, in substandard conditions. Just you don't have to. There's programs in place. There's advocates. Uh, there are concerns about the economy. There are concerns about how things will get paid, like programs for assistance. It's always an issue. And as you can see, you have the Build Back America bill just pending or tabled, um, because there's still resistance. So sometimes you just got to go beyond the means and just really have determination to make the change. And that's pretty much what it's all about, if you can do that. But you have to have a support system. You have to have your community involvement. You have to listen to each other. You have to embrace each other, because sometimes a lot of the concerns that each group have, uh, you'd be surprised how much in common that you're saying concerns that you have, uh, they may have down the street on the next block. Similar concerns. They're concerned about education, their kids going to school, good quality schools, not overcrowded classrooms. As you can see with the critical race theory situation, they got a lot of people concerned about that. So there needs to be a dialogue about that without being so heated, uh, because people can come in determined not to budge or listen to the other side. They just want to, you know, get their point across, and anything that the opposition says, they're not hearing it. You know what I mean? So we have to start opening up our minds. We have to start listening, and maybe we just have to just push our politicians once again to these town hall meetings and really nail them down on what are you people doing in Congress? You ask us to put you in there. Yet years are going by, there's nothing getting done. Then you got midterms coming up in the fall. And so this is the time right now. If register to vote, go out, mobilize. If you have some concerns, go to your local municipalities and talk to um, these council members, um, whatever you have to do, and share your concerns because you have to be vocal. You can no longer be asleep at the wheel. You can no longer say, "Well, let somebody else do it." Yeah, I'm for it. Yeah, man, go out there and do it. You have to do it too if you really want change. So it's hard work all the way around the board. So everyone has to. Everyone has a hand in it, uh, and if we can mobilize and understand that we're in it for the long run, and this is just how it's going to be until we feel like um, there's some type of resolution to our concerns and our matters. You're not just gonna, like I said, you're not gonna just be working or not working. You, there's always a concern. There's always a voice that has concerns. There's always a kid that needs support. Um, there's always programs out here that need to be tweaked. So there's a lot of money out there, and when we evaluate city budgets and state budgets along as well as the national budget, we really need to start understanding uh, what our precious resources are, our youth. And so we need to have an infrastructure set up in order for the youth to succeed. I like to say a path to glory, and have a pipeline of young folks who are directly affected with your non-movement in Congress, your gridlock directly affects the youth in the community in which they live. And so we have to come to some type of resolution, and we have to hold our elected officials accountable in order to, you know, to break down these quite frankly, laws that you got stuff on the books on laws and initiatives on the books, whether positive or negative, that needs to be addressed. And you just can't have something, okay, yeah, we have these programs, but you have to make the programs accessible for the people and guide them and give them directions and whatever their needs are, the best solutions and programs for them. But yet, everything seems so complicated. You have websites that don't work, city websites that don't work. Um, I mean, just look at this the COVID. It's just things that you took for granted all this time that you would think that would just be so fluid. Now I understand there's a stress on the health system. I get it, but let's whether you anti-vax or however you want to be, it affects everyone. So the pandemic is not going to go anywhere unless either people can use some type of barrier of a mask. Uh, the vaccine is available for people who want to take the vaccine. I can't tell you Yeah, I've gotten vaccinated. I'm all booster shot, all three shots. So I can't tell another person, you know, who has their own thoughts about the vaccine and COVID. All I can tell you is that to be safe, and the best thing I would think as a barrier for being completely sick and having to go into, you have to go into the hospital to prevent you going to, get on the respirator if you can't handle just, shaking this off. The COVID is to just um, think about getting vaccinated. So you have that option. So, but coming back to the economy and the initiatives and what I was speaking to prior to that, we have to be mindful that we're all connected. And so, again, the powers that be, they're going to try to throw these little distractions. And like I said, divide and conquer. So it's always, going to be, like I said, the game plan. And we as a people have to understand and be able to adjust all the time when we're going about trying to make change in our community. So that's vital. We have to make change. And again, you have to be mindful of the enemy, of who's um, trying to block you from having access. And you just got to stay diligent. Stay diligent. That's all I can say. So it's not easy, but together, if we just have some compassion for each other and avoid just being so backbiting and tearing each other down and blaming this group and that group and that group. Well, that group and this group is loud. Well, that group, look at them. Uh, we have to stop that, man. We have to stop. We have to really be serious about taking care of our own, no matter what community community that you're from. So we have to start taking care of our own, taking back our community and being real. So that's it for me. I'm getting tired, and we'll do it again. It was fun. Take care.